Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Our last guest is also no stranger to the show. She is a New York based Puerto Rican interdisciplinary artist carrying on the traditions of her ancestors, fusing elements of Afro Latin rhythms, multimedia productions, creative collaborations, and educational and artistic advocacy. From iconic stages such as Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, and she's also been recognized by Rolling Stone and Billboard. She is a catalyst for social change, empowering her community through her work such as Fever Pitch Productions, also the Rhythm of Rebellion podcast, and Resiliencia album, and more. And she's also one of my all-time favorite soul singers and friend. Everyone, please help me welcome back to Open singer, composer, interdisciplinary artist, and educator, Taína Asili.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's such an honor to be here with La Reina, the Queen. I mean, it's just always such a pleasure. So thank you.
You know, when it's queens recognizing queens,
Word.
That's
Yes.
that's when you know
That's it.
we're in the right place.
We're in the right place.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we just see each other as we are.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And we serve each other in our respective areas of just feeding.
Ashe to that.
Ashe to that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited here. I'm so,
So honored to be here. I'm so honored to be here.
oh my gosh. And, you know, again, another individual who made their way all the way to the Bronx from upstate,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And you came in person. I mean, you know, I had you on in the other studio pre-pandemic,
Yep.
so it means a lot to us. Well, to me especially, when it's important for you to come and present here, live in studio.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Even though I'm an upstate New Yorker, I'm an upstate New Yorican, and so the heart of that is here in New York City, and of course in the Bronx. And so it's such a pleasure to always be here with you. Thank you.
Yes, Queen. Yes. All right, so today you're repping fire and I'm repping water.
Yes, look at
the
that.
Elements.
We get those elements. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
And it is Earth Month.
It is.
Right? And
It
I know you
is.
did this fabulous presentation for Earth Day, which
Yes.
we're going to get into. But I would like to introduce our audience a little bit more about the work that you've been doing for decades now related to climate justice.
Yeah. Well, you know, as you know, I've been doing artistic work related to social justice, climate justice. I mean, I'm probably going on over 2 decades, but it's always in response to and in collaboration with movement work. So, you know, for example, I'm the board chair of an organization called Soul Fire Farm, which is an amazing food justice farm in upstate New York working to undo racism and seed sovereignty in the food system. I've had the honor and privilege to support organizations like the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective. This past year, we went on a beautiful tour with them. So, you know, over the course of my career, I have had the honor and privilege of connecting with organizations, supporting organizations, whether that's through performances, whether that's through getting in the streets and protesting with them.
know.
And, you know, whether that is doing benefit concerts, for example, for Uprose Brooklyn.
Yes.
You know,
Our
Elizabeth
lovely
Yampier,
Elizabeth
we
Yampier.
love
We're going to
so
give a shout out to
much.
another
Yes,
queen.
Another queen, another beautiful queen. So, you know, so through all of that, I've been deeply inspired. And of course, just the movements at large, right? So whether we were looking at the movement to end the bombings by the U.S. Navy in Vieques, Puerto Rico, or people who have been doing walks and runs to protect sacred sites, all of that has influenced my work. And so for the past 2 decades, all I've done is work to create songs that support those movements, that can be the jogging track to the revolution, I like to say, that can help to bring those rhythms of rebellion, that energy that we need to keep on going in the fight. And so that's what I aim to do.
No, I love that. What'd you say? The jogging?
The jogging track to the revolution.
Yes, because that's what you bring.
Yeah.
That's what you bring, right? And that's what I think captivates me, right? Because everything you do intentionally.
Yeah.
And that to me, it's priceless and it's also timeless.
Yeah.
because even though it's happening like right now, you're capturing history in this art form, in which yes, jogging track to the protest.
Right.
However, it's also documentation of
That's
where we
right.
are at this particular time.
That's right.
Yes.
And you know, in that documentation, so as an interdisciplinary artist, not only have I created songs and music videos, but I started to get into, and you mentioned Resiliencia, I started to get into music video documentary work. So for example, the title track of that album, Resiliencia, that was created, I went to Puerto Rico 4 months after Hurricanes Irma and Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico and documented with a camera the stories of 4 incredible women artists and activists about their stories of resilience, of resistance in the face of this moment where climate change and colonialism, intersect, and what was born from that. And so that became Resiliencia. So it's not just, being inspired, but really it's going into that deep questioning, sitting at the feet of my elders, sitting at the feet of people like you, beautiful people who inspire me so deeply, and really asking the questions that need to be asked. Similarly with Plant the Seed, another song that's in the Fever Pitch show, I interviewed one of my dearest friends, Leah Penniman, the co-director of Soulfire Farm, co-founder, asking her, what it took to create this farm, and really interviewing her, creating these beautiful documentaries that I've now gotten to share with the world, so that people can see not only the song, hear the song, but see the story behind the song.
They get the backstory of it, right?
Yeah.
In another form.
Exactly.
Yes. And again, it's important because, she's coming to me right now, so we have to shout out Dicia Pagan.
Oh.
Because, yes.
You're going to make me cry.
Yeah. I know. I feel that. So I have to put her name here. I have to bring her into the space because you honored her so beautifully.
Thank you.
And then there's the work that we do together, coming under the guidance of young Lord Minerva.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Minerva,
And so there's that marriage of understanding that, we have a responsibility to make sure that the next generation is informed.
That's right.
Without compromising the way in which we contribute.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And so Dilcia, bringing Dilcia into the space, Dilcia Pagan, former Puerto Rican political prisoner, artist, healer, beautiful elder who recently passed away.
In the media as well.
In the media.
Yeah, big time producer.
Cannot forget that. She always used to say, know your essence. She used to say, know your essence. For me, that I understood that to be know who you are and where you come from. For me as an artist, I know that everything that I bring with me as an artist, it's coming from my ancestors. It's coming from that rhythm of rebellion that was passed on from generation to generation, helping us to survive this moment. So that's part of that, knowing your essence. But also, I think part of knowing our essence is getting to really sit with the people in our community and be able to document and absorb and let that fold into ourselves, because you and I are intimately connected. We're all interconnected, right? So knowing you helps me to know me.
Right.
So that's part of what that documentary work is about. And I did interview Dilcia for the Resiliencia documentary, which was a beautiful experience. And I'm deeply grateful that I got to capture her wisdom, not only in the song, but in that documentary forevermore.
Yeah, and the capture is poetic within its own form, right? Even though it's about the elements. I'm going to go back to the elements because look, you're wearing fire, I'm bringing in the water, and you were by the ocean, and then there's the ancestry and the goddesses that represent it, right? And so, is this something that I'm curious. That you learned as you grew, or was it something that you were born into? Because I wasn't born into it.
Okay.
It found me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I would say my mother was an incredible woman. Both my parents were. They were founders of the Latin American Student Union at Binghamton University. And my mother was a founder of a group called Kimbamba, and it was a bomba group that she co-founded. And we're talking about the late 1960s in upstate New York. as a way to reclaim our culture and our roots and our traditions. And so my parents, I grew up in an area that was not super diverse, right? But they helped me to understand who I am and where I come from, to know that essence. And so they gave me both the rooting in our cultural traditions, which are our spiritual traditions.
Right, exactly.
Right? When we're talking about a bombazo, or we're talking about any kind of art or music we create, I really believe that is part of our spiritual tradition. So they taught me that. And that's what I carry into the work that I do today. And so even though the work that I do isn't folkloric per se, that it is part of the river and the current, right? And so they taught me that. And they also taught me to honor nature. My grandmothers, in blessed memory, and all of them in blessed memory, they taught me to honor nature.
You grow your own food, don't you?
I do my best to grow my own food.
I know, I see it. I'm like, go ahead.
I do.
That is what's up.
And my grandmothers taught me that. My grandmothers taught me about growing our own food, about cooking our own food, about reclaiming, understanding what goes into our bodies and how that benefits our health. My mother was an incredible gardener as well, and my father loved animals and nature. So, being able to have that certainly infused into everything I do today. And then, of course, I continue to learn and cultivate with all the people that are around me, and like Leah Penniman and others, learning how to just reclaim those practices and pass them on to my children.
So how does it feel, right, to be in this place, this particular climate, and know who you are and know what you're here to serve, right? What has it taken for you to get there? And because you have an air about you. I mean, you're a goddess in my eyes, right?
So sweet.
But you had to have gone through a lot of different trials and tribulations in order to be secure.
Sure.
And this is how I'm presenting it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like I said, I grew up in an area where I didn't see a lot of reflection of myself. And so what that meant was, I was dealing with racism, sexism, homophobia, all of these different forms of oppression on a regular basis. And music became my savior. Music became my solace. Music became my home in a way that, particularly in songwriting and expression and performance of it. So I did start off in a punk band.
I know. I remember
I did start off in a punk band, and that was my rebellion. I realized my rage and rebellion. Today, obviously, the work that I do isn't in that form. And part of that is that during that time period of my life, my parents passed away when I was a young adult. And so it was that circling back to knowing my essence and to wanting to honor my ancestors and honor them in everything that I do. And so I took that punk rock rebellion, that beautiful spirit, and folded it with those teachings, those spiritual teachings and those folkloric teachings that my parents taught me, and also their rebellion, right, of reclaiming a space as Latinos, as Latinas, as Latines, to demand that we get to have that space. So that is what I do today. I reclaim my space. I reclaim my humanity. I reclaim my cultural and spiritual traditions. I create new ones. I keep culture moving forward like a river ever flowing, right? We can't be stagnant. We always have to keep it moving
Making
forward.
my hair stand. Oh my God. Did you write that down? That's the next song. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, and I felt every word of it. And I just want to end this segment saying that I had read a meme recently that really resonated with me, and I don't know who the quote is from, but it's like, true wealth does not lie in finances. The true wealth, it lies in the soil.
That's right.
In the soil.
That's right. That's right. And there's a beautiful strength that we can receive from touching soil, right? From connecting ourselves to the earth. This song that I'm going to share with you today, it says, we are nature. It's not like nature is separate from us. We are nature, and we can lean into that beauty, that power, that strength, the strength of the water, the strength of the fire, the strength of the wind, right? That's what our ancestors taught us, is to lean into that strength, the strength of these elements of this beautiful, interconnected, woven, living, alive, existence
Yes.
that we have
Yes,
together.
existence
Right?
coming
And
from a mindful perspective.
that's right. And that's what's going to help us to move through this moment.
I agree. And as we honor Pachamama
That's right.
right now,
Atabe. That's
okay,
right.
Atabe
Yes.
in our
And the Orisha.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
during Earth Month, no
That's
less.
right. That's right.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
this is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Oh, all right, you guys, I know you felt that love fest, okay? But guess what? We're going to treat you to the extension of this love fest through her presentation, as we discussed. So don't go anywhere, because Taína Asili is going to perform for us after the break, and you don't want to miss it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Here now to perform Nature from her show Fever Pitch. Let's give it up for Taína Asili.
Protecting the sacred of all ecology, the interdependence of every species, the right to self-determination we affirm, the right to every living being free of harm, detoxification of water and of land, ethical use of our resources we demand, to live in balance with nature, our lives depend. It's this relationship with us we will defend. With the strength of the water, with the strength of the sea, with the strength of the soil, with the strength of the breeze. Cessation of predator corporation greed in governmental pawns whose mouths they feed, and occupation of land stolen and misused, reparations for those exploited and abused, support for those who battle on the front lines, reclaim our land, our health, and colonize, re-educate our children, cleanse the climate lies. And with this knowledge, we will harmonize. With the strength of the water, with the strength of the sea, with the strength of the soil, with the strength of the breeze, with the strength of the fire, with the strength of the blood, with the strength of the people, with the strength of our love. Love. Hey. Yes. We are all nature. We are all nature. We are all nature. We are all nature. Ha! Of the soil, of the sea, of the fire, of the breeze, of the fire, of the blood, of the people, of our love, of the wild, of the wrong, of the children who ask for more, of the ancient in our blood, speaking through us with their love, their love.
Thank you all so much.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Taína, Asili, everyone. Accompanied by Danu and Ileana, right? All right, brava, brava. Thank you so much for bringing it here. You guys, if you're interested in her Fever Pitch tour, you can follow her on all social media platforms at Taína Asili. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to your viewers for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rina Valentin. I'm from all of us here at Open. May the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Can we replay that music? Woo! Yes, I love it. There we go.